Good morning, friends. Today I'm going to do a talk called Beyond Religion. Namaste, the divine in me greets the divine in you. In these difficult times, let us try to have peace on earth and goodwill to all beings. We approach Christmas, whether you regard Christmas as the birth of Jesus, which the Christians have taken over and made it into, or as a solstice, the reawakening of the sun, the reawakening of the divine within us. We need this peace on earth. And I'm going to do a talk today called Beyond Religion. Now, as students of Theosophy, we are all aware of the words, there's no religion higher than truth. But being aware of that, how many of us still cling to the concepts of organized religion, often created by man due to misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the teachings of some being sent here to awaken us to who and what we truly are? There may also be political and social reasons to create these religions that dominate and control the lives of millions, often inciting them to violence in the name of a God created in the image of man. I mean, the God of the Christians and the Muslims has all the failings of mortal man. He gets angry, he gets jealous. God is supposed to be beyond all that. So beyond all this man-made cacophony, there is a region of pure peace, changeless and harmonious, where we all meet in a spirit of true brotherhood and sisterhood. As the Sufi poet Rumi states, beyond our ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense anymore. So this is a place in which we all dwell, though we have forgotten. Plato tells us that true learning is merely recollection. In this sense, it is awakening to who and what we truly are, in essence. H.P. Blavatsky uses the word reminiscence to illustrate the same idea. And she says in the Key to Theosophy, Locke, who I take was some kind of philosopher at the time, speaking of recollection and remembrance, says, when an idea again recurs without the operation of the like object on the external sensory, it is remembrance. If it is be sought after by the mind, and with pain and ever found and brought again into view, it is recollection. But even Locke leaves reminiscence without any clear definition, because it is no faculty or attribute of our physical memory, but an intuitional perception apart from and outside our physical brain. A perception which, covering as it does, being called into action by the ever-present knowledge of our spiritual ego, all those visions in man which are regarded as abnormal, from the pictures suggested by genius to the ravings of fever and even madness. And these are classed by science as having no existence outside of our fancy. Occultism and Theosophy, however, regard reminiscence in an entirely different light. For us, while memory is physical and evanescent and depends on the physiological conditions of the brain, a fundamental proposition with all teachers of mnemonics, while the researchers of modern scientific psychologists to back them, we call reminiscence the memory of the soul. So we have to start to disentangle our minds from all its creations that alienate us from an awareness of our true nature. In a religious sense, what reinforces this alienation is the anthropomorphizing of spiritual concepts into notions of an external deity. And as a result of that, the formation of rules and regulations to propitiate this God and to seek his favor. As individuals, we are regarded as weak, miserable sinners, not able to accomplish anything worthwhile without the help of our Lord and master. How different is the Theosophical view of humanity? Theosophy teaches that we are only limited by our misconceptions of the true nature of existence, and it reveals to us some of its secrets, enough for us to take our progress into our own hands and proceed by self-induced and self-devised efforts. If we are able to grasp the essence of these teachings, we will understand that they are helping to clear some of the fog from our benumbed minds, and therefore forge a path forwards. This eventually takes us to a state such as mentioned by Rumi in the above quote, where ideas, language, even the phase each other doesn't make sense anymore. And this is where all differences dissolve, like mist before the morning sun. As long as we cling to a particular religion, we will always regard other religions as inferior and give just a nodding assent to them, whether that be conscious or subconscious. Remember that organized religions are a creation of erring mortals and have little to do with the great souls that came to this planet to try to prevent us from increasing our sense of personality and separateness, and as a result, warring against each other for trivial reasons. Also, we needed to be shown that the true dignity of human nature and of life in general. We need to develop an understanding of the feelings of others and the consequences of all our actions. Terrible karmic reactions are being created by those who inflict suffering upon their fellow creatures, believing that a God of mercy wants to obliterate all who do not bow down before him. This, of course, is just a reflection of their own base nature, using their respective myths to justify cruel and evil actions. Impersonality, then, is the key, but this does not mean indifference or coldness. Robert Crosby, who is the founder of the United Lodge of Theosophists, writes, "For practical purposes, if we are developing the child heart, if we are learning to love things beautiful, if we are becoming more honest and plain and simple, if we are beginning to sense the sweet side of life, if we are getting to like our friends better and extending the circle, if we feel ourselves expanding in sympathy, if we love to work for Theosophy or any spiritual practice, a genuine one, and do not ask position as a reward, if we are not bothering too much about whether we are personal or impersonal, this is traveling on the path of impersonality." End of quote. So what an Arcadia of souls we would have if we could live by the above words. Instead of lower base nature blotting out the wise words of the great world teachers, which are overruled by the promptings of the animal nature and with brute force in the form of coercion. So we could live by this instead of that, instead of living by the promptings of the lower nature, and just live by the words of the wise ones. Live by the words, like the Sermon on the Mount, or the Bhagavad Gita, or the Dhammapada. So these words can often be overruled by the promptings of the animal nature and with brute force in the form of coercion. This is most prominent in monotheistic religions. Buddhism is more of a way of life, giving us guidelines to base our lives upon compassion, and particularly as regards the Mahayana school, which bases its teachings upon the path of compassion, the Bodhisattva path of giving up nirvana to come back to help humanity. As H. P. Blavatsky states, though, Buddhism is not Theosophy, which has an even wider field of experience, revealing the identical nature of all religions. Still, of all the religions, Buddhism is the nearest to the truth. Some may argue that at least religions give the multitude a code of ethics to live by, but mostly these are enforced upon the individual and often create resentment or a pedantic view of life. Followers can become hard-hearted and fanatical and believe that those who do not agree with their views are less than human and should be treated as such. Of course, these are extremists, but true religion should bring people together by revealing the oneness of all things. It should be a uniting element, not a dividing one, as it can be at the moment and generally is. It is good that there are many movements worldwide to correct this, and many interfaith groups are emerging. This is a positive trend, but we must learn that to be truly free from the churches of man-made religions, the clutches of man-made religions, and the churches of man-made religions, we need to go beyond and awaken to our true nature. H.P. Blavatsky wrote in an article entitled Our Three Objects, though but a minority of our members are mystically inclined, yet in point of fact, the key to all our success is in our recognition of the fact of the higher self. Colourless, cosmopolitan, unsectarian, sexless, unworldly, altruistic, and the doing of our work upon that basis. To the secularist, the agnostic, the stylistic, scientist, such results would have been unattainable, nay, would have been unthinkable. Peace societies are utopian, because no amount of argument based upon exoteric considerations of social morals or expediency can turn the hearts of the rulers of nations away from selfish war and schemes of conquest. Again, very typical and topical, typical and topical. So this cannot be achieved by organised religion, but only by cultivating an awareness of our higher self and also the recognition of it in others, regardless of race, creed, sex, caste, or colour. And this is very important, that we have to get back to the divine within, realise that we're all responsible for our own evolution, our own progress, and that whatever we do affects everyone else. So we must always try and act in tune with our higher divine spiritual nature. So thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you again soon.